Hi, I'm Adam Drake from Mugen Seiki Racing. Today I'm going to show you how I set up my throttle linkage. So I'm going to start by turning on my high-tech transmitter and then obviously the vehicle. And a couple things that you really want to pay close attention to when you're setting your throttle linkage is that your throttle pull is very straight and also very smooth. There should be no binding. You want to make sure that this linkage rod isn't bent, sometimes from a hard impact, or if you get hit, this can be bent and it'll just cause the throttle pull to stick and your throttle to not be as linear. So what I like to do is start by setting the dead band. And the dead band is basically the gap from neutral to when the servo starts actually opening the carburetor. So as you can see, there's a little bit of a gap, and that's more than what you should run. Normally what I like to do is basically run just a very, very small gap, about the thickness of a business card. That way, if anything flexes, it gives you that little bit of leeway to where your throttle can't stay open or you don't have drag brake. From there, I pull the throttle wide open, check and make sure that the servo is not overextending the carburetor. And then I use a pair of digital calipers and I'll measure the carburetor and then zero that out. And then open the carburetor to full throttle. And I have 6.37. I have a 6.5 millimeter Venturi in the engine right now. So I'll just slightly adjust the EPA on my radio up a couple percent and then recheck it. Now I'm at 6.79, so I'll reduce it, split the difference. And I'm at 6.46, so close enough to 6.5. A couple other little tricks that I do to make the braking a little bit smoother is I use springs instead of the stock O-rings. This makes the braking a little bit smoother initially. And then I also use springs in between the brake calipers so that the brakes release much quicker. That way when you go from full brake to let off, everything rolls super free. And then as far as the brake linkage, go ahead and just check that at full brake. My front brakes feel really good. Rear brake I don't have quite enough. So I'll just adjust that a couple turns until I get the proper tension. And with the brakes, it's really, really easy to set. I like to check my brakes usually before every time I hit the track just to make sure nothing's changed or worn or anything like that. And depending on the track, brake bias can have a really big impact in how your car handles. If your car's over aggressive, you'll want to run a little bit more front brake. If your car is a little bit numb and you need it to have more rotation in the middle of the corner, then you'll want to run a little bit more rear brake, a little bit less front brake. But it's something you need to just adjust and tune for yourself depending on the different track conditions. But again, make sure brake linkage is straight, everything is free, and then I like to use the brake springs both for the brake side as well as to release the brake calipers.